Hi there friends, and welcome to my new beginner's guide and review for Workers and Resources Soviet Republic. I'm Icon, and this game has been provided to me by 3D Vision and the Game Development World Championship, which is a yearly competition for game devs. You can join there for free if you have a game in the making. Just enroll there, you'll find the link in the description below, and maybe you'll win some awesome prizes. Also, if you're no game dev, you can just check out the weekly fan favorite vote. There are 9 games there to vote for, and you can check them out and vote for your favorites. So, after that has been said and done, we're going to get started in Russia. Workers and Resources Soviet Republic is one of the most immersive, complex games that I have played so far. It hangs somewhere between City Skylines as a city development game and Transport Tycoon in terms of shifting things around, and last but not least, add in a splash of Factorio when it comes down to production chains. Really fun, very complex, very immersive, and will beat you down with its massive amount of content. But that's not necessarily a bad thing. I will show you around how to build a production chain, how to take care of your people, how to get power running, and a couple of other things. So after this video, you're hopefully able to set foot in Russia and start building here and teach you the rest by yourself. Because if I would want to do a video until I have a working town, I guess we would be here for 8 hours or such. So let's get started. When you want to look for a location for your town, first off, open your minimap. You will see everything you will need to know there. There's resource markers, and I highly recommend you to have some coal in your vicinity, some iron, some oil, and, well, uranium is cool if you want to go for nuclear power one day. Bauxite is really important because electronics need aluminium. So with that out of the way, you also want to check out for an outside connection which has a custom house and a power connection. The power connection is really awesome to kickstart your power production from outside. If you are on easy difficulty, you will not have to worry about power whatsoever. This is just disabled then. In higher difficulty levels than medium, which we are playing right now, you will also have to produce fuel for your vehicles, which is turned off in this scenario. So important here is this power connection in the vicinity, because I want to be able to produce or buy power before I produce some on my own. In general, in this game, importing stuff which you are not able to produce right now is a really important thing. So in this beginner's guide, I want to produce asphalt with you guys. Just plain old asphalt. We're going to produce that stuff over here, and then we're going to hopefully use that for a good purpose. So to produce asphalt, we have to dive into the massive construction menu. When you go over here, you see a couple of riders, and these are all building menus. Residential buildings, education buildings, tourism buildings. There's really a lot going on in every department, and it's easy to be overwhelmed, and that's why I strongly recommend you to just focus on one task, solve that, and then go forward to the next one. So in our regard, we want to produce asphalt. So we will find this in the construction related industry tab. So to produce asphalt, we need an asphalt plant. So we see here, this will produce asphalt and consume gravel and bitumen. We will produce the gravel ourselves, and the bitumen we will import. So we will learn everything necessary there. So gravel. Gravel is produced in the gravel processing plant, which will turn quarried stone into gravel. So we need a gravel quarry to get started. You can build the quarries on these rugged areas there. And most importantly, in the building menu here, everything you select there can be put into the hotbar up here. I've already put the quarries on the hotbar number 3. You can select them and just put them, and then just click there to put them onto the hotbar. There are so many buildings, and you have various hotbars to configure, so this can help you to organize this behemoth of a building menu. When you shift around that building site, you see the green dots indicate how good this site is to produce gravel here. And the road icon shows the direction of the road. We're going to place it down here and be happy with that. So that's built. The next thing we're going to need is a gravel processing plant, because, you know, we will need to process that gravel somehow. So here goes the same thing. You get this road icon, but you also see these other connectors here. These are conveyor belt connectors, and also you see these pedestrian icons. These show you that these are potential ways for your foot walks. We're going to put this thingy over here. And the next thing we're going to do is we're going to think about where the asphalt plant will live, because the gravel we produce will be then transported into the asphalt plant. So you see, there's now, well, let's get a little bit more close. The asphalt plant has now these conveyor belt connectors too, and it also has a pipe connector, because you produce... bitumen is a liquid which has to be transported via pipelines, so we will take care of that later. So for now, we're going to rotate that with the mouse wheel, but you can also press the R button to go for 90-degree shifts. So here I'm going to put this down like that, and you see these thingies, they immediately connect now. So basically the gravel that will be produced here will be immediately transported to the asphalt plant, which is really good because this reduces the necessary amount of logistics on your side. So now we got all the necessary things here built up, but now nothing can be produced, obviously. So the next thing we're going to do, connect everything with roads. So we head over to the infrastructure menu and select roads. You see there's lots of other things, but we're going to get there in a minute. Roads, also tons of things. If you don't want to get overloaded by these menus, play the tutorials, memorize which things that you got recommended there, and use them from there on. But a lot of things go with some thinking. Asphalt roads are good for outside. Asphalt roads with streetlights and sidewalks, I guess you would only use them in the vicinity of apartments and civilian areas, so that's that. So to build a road, you see these connectors. I just showed it before releasing it. You just put the cursor on these, hold down the left mouse button, and drag and drop, release, and build. So we unpause, and there we go. As you see here, the road connector here is a little bit off track, so we're going to build a road there and connect it over here. So that's that. We got our roads. If you want to know what's going on inside your buildings, just click them, and below these many icons you see the problems. So the gravel quarry is lacking a power supply, no workers or mechanisms. So power supply is, as we might already have thought, a problem for every of these buildings. So let's solve that power problem first, shall we? So luckily we are living right next to a foreign import station, but how do we get that power into these buildings? The first thing we're going to head over is the infrastructure menu and check out power. And because this is a complex game, we have medium voltage wires and high voltage wires. Easily explained, high voltage is to transport power over land. Medium voltage is to distribute it into among the consumers. So we're going to use high voltage wire to connect from here to there, and medium voltage wire to spread it over there. So first we're going to start with the substation, which can be found in the medium voltage wire menu. The substation is where your power will be spread. This thing is basically taking power from a distributor and then gives it to everybody who needs power. So we're going to plot down the substation over here. As you see here, the road connector instantly connects to the existing road if it is close enough. Let's do that. Okay, so we can't connect the high voltage from this side though, with the low voltage from this side. So what we're going to need is a transformer. So we have a power transformer here. I'm going to zoom in a little bit closer. The power transformer works like this. You see the big power icon there? There goes the high voltage. The small power icons are distributors from there on. So we're going to place down the transformer here, and then we're going to select some wiring. Wiring, well, you can see they have different capacities, and if you don't know what to select, just in doubt, select the biggest one, because, you know, there's no kill like an overkill, and you can always tune down once you know what you're doing. There's nothing worse than having too few, not enough power. The only thing this will drain is your money, so let's connect that and overdo this gloriously. So seriously, once you know how much power your areas need, you want to use the according power cords, but if you don't know what you're doing, there's nothing wrong with overdoing it. But honestly, these look a little bit massive towards this little transformer station. Okay, so the medium voltage wires now, we're going to take the biggest one here too, because I like that, are used to connect the transformer with the substation, because the transformer will now take the power and split it into a lower voltage, so it can be consumed by these smaller households. The last thing we need to do is to select the power connection there and import power. So you can select this thingy, and then you allow them to satisfy the power needs of your buildings from outside by 100%. So what happens now? Power is no longer an issue. Wonderful. But no workers, and no workers. So let's change that next. We're going to build a apartment block now. So head over to the construction menu, residential buildings, and here you have tons of different buildings. They differ in power consumption, how much heat water they can store. Yes, you need to provide heat water too one day. And the quality of the flats is also a thing. So overall, they differ also in capacity. So, well, my personal approach was using flats that house enough workers were the most important things for me. So I really liked this for 12,000 with 138 workers. Overall, choose to your own liking. It's hard to give you a... You should always do this recommendation here. Choose to your own liking. Okay, we're going to place down that worker building here. If you want to be exact if you want to know exactly how much you need, just count down how many workers your building in a vicinity need. I'm lazy. I'm just going to build that building here and wait it out. So here we go. Now, the workers move in, and as you see here, they're now also just going outside and roaming towards these buildings where they want to work. Here you see their needs and happiness overall. All these things need to be taken account for later. So mouse hovering over this little pedestrian icon here shows you also how the people will move between these icons, and it also shows us that nobody is capable of moving towards here to the asphalt plant because that's just too far away. We can probably change that by using roads, like gravel roads, which connect these things here. Sometimes you can do little tricks there, but we're not going to trick around. We're just going to build another apartment. And let's see. This place really needs not too many workers, so we're going to go for a small flat. Here, you see, this will only house 12 workers. That's exactly what we need. When you're building these houses, you can always select if you want to get citizens from the get-go or not. So we're going to unselect that because I want to show you the importance of that. So there we go. This is a quite luxurious manner. Look at that. This is actually looking quite neat. So when you go over there to the building, you see, we have no people here living so far. Now we will invite immigrants. With these buttons here, you can select if you want to have immigrants with no education from the third world, Soviet bloc immigrants, or experts. We're going to recruit experts for this place to make sure that this is going to be staffed by really good people. Jokes aside, you only need to do that if you really want to configure your population more thoroughly, but I wanted to show you how it's done. So now we got the asphalt plant manned, we got everything here staffed out with workers, but nothing is going on so far. So the gravel quarry is for some reason not working. So we cannot store or export, and we have no vehicle to load stone and no conveyor connection. So the fun thing about this game is when you go here to the buy new vehicle or mechanism menu, you see this is a quarry. It needs an excavator, so you need to buy it an excavator. A lot of buildings have certain needs of vehicles, so from this point on, this place will actually be able to work. So the next thing we will need is to transport the quarried stone to this place. So we're going to go over to the infrastructure menu and select ourselves a road vehicles depot. This is where we're going to buy cars at. So we're going to put this depot over here, somewhere where it still receives power from the substation, preferably. There we go. Alright, so this has been built, and this vehicles depot now, with this button over here, you can buy a new vehicle. So we're going to see here all the vehicles in the game available, because a vehicles depot can store pretty much everything. We just want a dumper, so you see here those filters. You can also go for other trucks. Always check out that they can transport the stuff that you want to transport. So in this scenario, covered haul trucks would be not the case. We need dumpers. They can carry quarried stone and gravel, and that's what we're going to transport. So let's select one of those smaller dumpers. These differ in price and in speed and such. You see this dumper here might carry 25 tons, but it's really slow. This one carries less, but it's really fast. You have to check out for yourself which one you want. I will take this one, and we're going to configure it now. So you click the vehicle. Sometimes you need to click it twice. Early access kinks. Now we are in the vehicle menu. So we're going to give it some stops here with a blue plus sign. We're going to tell it to make the first stop here at the gravel quarry. It will load there everything. You can also select which kind of where it should load. It should or under which circumstances it should load. And we're going to add a new stop here at the gravel processing plant. So you see this is automatically configured to unload. All is good, so we can start that vehicle by pressing the start button. So now this little car will start to go on a journey and do its work. As we see here, in the meantime, this quarry side is working out too. There we go. Keep in mind that the quarry side can't store anything on its own. It can only export stone, which is freshly produced there. And now it's being transported over here to the gravel processing plant, where the produced gravel gets immediately delivered to the asphalt plant, because we got this conveyor belt connection there. If you want to build these conveyor belt connections manually, you will find them in the infrastructure menu here. So for the production of asphalt, though, we would now need something else. We would need bitumen. As you see, there is a pipeline connector there, and now we could check out how to produce bitumen. So bitumen is produced via oil. Let's check out where we have it here, oil, bitumen, fuel. So you need a pump jack, which creates oil for you. You need an oil refinery, which produces fuel and bitumen for you. And then you need to connect all that. It's basically working exactly like what we did here, just with different buildings. And instead of a conveyor belt, you will need a pipeline. But overall, this is what we need. But you don't need to produce everything yourself. You can also purchase resources. So with this menu here, you can go into auto purchase and tell the factory to buy some bitumen automatically. And by doing so, there will be automatically a stash of 2 tons of bitumen bought by rubles, which allows us to produce asphalt. So this place now is ready to serve. They're now only unhappy because they got nowhere to store or export that stuff. So if you want to export things, check out the customs house here. You see there's all the stuff they would buy from you. But sadly, asphalt is not a product which you can sell, but it is necessary for construction, and that's why I selected it. Because in this game there are different ways of producing things. You can either, or constructing things, you can either construct them via money, so you buy all the resources that are necessary to construct something, or you construct it with resources and no money, with all the stuff you created there. So to give you an idea, we're going to get into the construction menu and let's select a residential building. So once we uncheck the auto build using rubles thingy here, we get a new perspective on buildings. So we now we now see what is necessary to build that thing. 640 workdays, concrete, gravel, asphalt, prefab panels, and steel. That's a lot of things. But with that self-made production, you will no longer need money to construct these things. How to construct buildings, you might ask yourself? I'm going to show you. So first off, you will need a, where does it add? Give me a second. The construction office, where does it hide? Sometimes it is quite hard to find things in this game. That's why I can't recommend you this thingy of the hotbars here enough. So engineering industry is where we produce big things. Storage and warehouses, distribution related. Let's see. We will find what we're looking for. So aggregate storage, for example, is used for gravel and such things. Dry bulk storage for cement, for livestock, for meat. We have all manner of different storage areas. But as you see here, the asphalt has no direct storage medium, but that's not a problem. It works just like the gravel quarry, where the quarried stone gets just exported if necessary. But you can also, and we're going to put up one of those. Where was it? We're going to put up one small aggregate storage, just because it's useful to have one. And because I can show you how they work. So you see here the aggregate storage can also be just connected to the other factory there, and this gives you a automatic fill of these things. So that's really, really cool. So we will now build a construction office. Put it down somewhere nearby your other buildings, and the construction office is what you need to realize your own construction plans. So when you select it here, this looks quite confusing. So what the construction office will do, it will manage your construction sites. To give you an idea, we're just going to build a piece of road using resources. So we're going to select the road, uncheck the building using rubles, and just pull a piece of road here. So you see here, gravel and asphalt are needed. So we're going to do this like that. And these are now white marked because it's only a planned thing. So you see price if funded from rubles, price if funded from dollars. We're going to start the construction of a plant infrastructure now. So this way, you give the game the command to build something using resources. And now you see this is the unfinished road. So first off, we're going to use the construction office for that. Now, to get the construction office running, you will need a couple of different things. You see there's a need for gravel, where you need to assign a aggregate storage for that. This is basically a checklist for all the materials that the construction office wants to use there. So we also need to buy vehicles for the construction office, because you will not be able to build anything without a paver or a bulldozer, or, well, the road crane ain't really super necessary, but you will need these things. You also need a roller and all these different cars. Also make sure that you bring a dumper truck, and if necessary also a covered haul truck if you want to transport any of these materials there. Usually they are not necessary. So we also can bring in a bus if we need to transport workers. And there we go. So the source of gravel is not assigned is one of the problems. So to assign sources, you see gravel, we can't assign that from the plant directly, whereas the asphalt we can assign from the plant directly. So we're going to specify a source building and click that, and you see here now the asphalt plant has been assigned. We can't select workers directly, and we also can't select that stuff directly. So to cover your construction office completely, you will need to build storages for all these things and connect them accordingly. So we're going to do that in between a little pause, and then I'm going to show you how this works. Build a couple of buildings which the construction office will need, and we're going to go over them bit by bit. So it's a little bit confusing to begin with, but it all makes sense in a couple of moments, promise. So now we're going to specify all those things. Workers come from bus stations, so we're going to tell this factory, this construction office, that their workers will come from here. Ideally, you would put the bus station closer to the construction site, of course. Gravel comes from the aggregate storage. This is what we build over here. This is where gravel can be stored. So we tell this place to get it from there. Concrete comes from the concrete plant, which works just like the asphalt plant. It can't store that stuff because, you know, concrete is not exactly the stuff which you can store. It will be just gathered as needed. Then steel, bricks, prefab panels, and boards all come from the factories or the open storage. The open storage, where did I put it again? Here, is a extra storage area which can hold all these materials. Last but not least, mechanical and electrical components will be stored from the warehouse. What we did now, we told the construction office where the necessary resources are to be found. So it will now try to satisfy its needs there. I forgot one thing really important, and that was a concrete mixer. The concrete mixer is the only car capable of transporting concrete, so your construction office will need one. So after all these things have been dealt with, we're now looking at our storage areas. As you see here, we don't produce any steel or such, but we can tell our storages to auto buy a couple of those. So we buy some steel, we buy some boards, and we buy some prefab panels to make sure that these materials are there. And same goes for our warehouse, where we tell it to buy ourselves some components. This brings us a really good advantage. Now, all the necessary construction work can be done by our own workers here. And while we buy stuff which we can produce on our own, we will now save money because we will use our own stuff where we can and just import all the other stuff which we can't produce on our own. So last but not least, we're also going to talk about exports here. So I'm going to pull up a road to this place here. So we're no longer going to build with our own resources. We're going to build with that. Money, good old money. And overall, you can now see that we got a couple of problems still. That's mostly workers, and if something doesn't work, always just work off these check marks here. This is the game's way of telling you what you're missing to do. And that's, for me, one good way of learning in this game. So after you have connected this to the custom house, you can also buy yourself a car and tell it to sell stuff to the outside world by just sending the dumper over there. One stop goes there, and one stop goes there. And now we tell them to load gravel and unload gravel there. Get this thing started. And as you see here, the customs office here does buy gravel. Find it again. Here, gravel. So you can earn money by selling off the stuff you produce. If you want to set yourself a goal, you just start to try to produce stuff on your own. That's a big goal. And the other big goal is to satisfy the needs of your people here. So you see, citizens were unable to get food, to get meat, to get clothes, and all these things. There's so friggin' many things you need to do for your town. You will get there in a while when you play the game longer. So equipment for citizens, you see here, there's the grocery store, which your people obviously need to buy food at, and there's the small store for clothes and electronics and all these things. Explore the game at your own pace. Don't worry if you have to restart a couple of times. This game is insanely complex. We haven't even started talking about trains, which are also a vital way of transporting things. But I think overall, with the things you've seen here, you will have enough of an idea how to handle things on your own from here. For every problem, there's a solution, and if you see that people are unable to get kindergarten places, then you will have to look in the education area and check out what kindergartens need, and so on and so forth. You earn money via export, and if you want to export things, well, probably you want to start to produce some lumber, or you want to produce some cars. The ideas there are, well, this is a sandbox game, you know? You should just do whichever you feel like it's good. Grow an agro farm and put fields next to it to grow crops. Put those crops into a food factory to produce your own food. And on top of that, you can sell crops and food. So you will have to try around for a while, but these are the basics of this wonderful game. And once you have found your way around that, the complexity gets less and less threatening and burdening, and you will have more and more fun while doing so. But among all the good things that I can say about this game, its steep learning curve is definitely a bad thing. So, well, the developers work on the tutorials quite hard. I found them very informative, and they taught me all I needed to know, but most of the things were still trial and error. And that's the only thing that I can tell you. Keep on the trial and error path if you like this kind of game. What really makes Workers and Resources shine and stand out among its competition is its extreme realism. It is just a game which slaps you with a ton of different tasks, but once you get the ball rolling and once you know what you're doing, it actually grows more and more fun to juggle all these tasks and try to get a good town going. So if you like town builders, if you like resource management games, and if you like logistic games and production chain games, it's just made for you. You have a ton of different informations here, of course, in these menus. So how much is stored of everything, how is the status of your population, how are your lines that your cars are running around, what kind of vehicles and stuff do you own, how is the economy going, really important when you're selling stuff and such. There's a lot of instruments to control your success, so enjoy that. Dear friends, I hope that was kind of helpful for you, and feel free to drop your comments and questions down there. I will try to answer them as good as I can. Also, I do plan to do a more thorough tutorial series for this game. This is in the making, so if you are still overwhelmed, don't you worry. I'll do my best to have you got your backs there. So, Leave a thumbs up on that video if you enjoyed, and of course check out my channel, there's daily content coming up there, so just subscribe and turn on those notifications to not miss anything. In the description box down there is the GDWC link. You remember from the beginning, check it out, it's really awesome. These guys made this video possible, and apart from that you'll also find my Discord link, my Twitch channel where I do daily streams, or at least regularly, as daily as I can. And last but not least, there's also methods and ways of supporting me directly financially. If you might want to lend me a helping hand, I'd be deeply grateful. If not, I'm super grateful for your time you've spent here. I hope you enjoyed the stay, and I hope we're going to see each other soon again. Goodbye and enjoy